Remember that classically hilarious movie from the 90s, There's Something About Mary? Of course you do, right? It had Cameron Diaz in it. Well, I'm here to tell you there's something about a Porsche. And I don't mean in the same way that you have a picture of a Lamborghini or a Ferrari on your wall as a kid. I mean in the way like in the movie, you felt like you were Ben Stiller and you might actually one day be able to have Mary as a girlfriend. With Porsche, you feel like you might actually one day be able to own one. It's an achievable reality. And the car that made it so was this.
First launched to the market in 1996, the Boxster provided Porsche lusters with access to a more affordable dream. Sure, the mid-engine two-seater did not carry the cachet of the Halo 911. In fact, it was pretty much relegated to the hairdresser's chair by the majority of die-hard performance Porsche enthusiasts. But for everyday Joe Blogs, the Boxster was a real trophy of achievement that he could actually afford.
This is the latest iteration of that dream, albeit at the top end of the spectrum. It's the sportiest Boxster you can now buy in South Africa at just over 1.1 million rand. Think of it like Cameron with a bit of extra special hair gel. That GTS badge means you get an uprated chassis, some sporty bits on the exterior, more spec to pour over on the inside, and of course, more power.
For just over a smidge over $1 million, you could get into a Porsche instead of a common garden BMW M2 or an SLC AMG. It's also only slightly more expensive than a Jaguar F-Type and cheaper than the very unique Alpha 4C Spider. But it's got this badge. And what that means is that you get to feel special. Not just because you get to correct your friends that you don't drive a Porsche, you drive a Porsche, as you let that famous crest key tag dangle tauntingly, but because there is a mechanical solidity to a Porsche that stays with you from the minute you turn on that ignition. We were treated to a blast around Kyalami recently at the launch of both the 718 Boxster and Cayman GTS models, and booting off in launch mode was just the start of an awesome experience.
Now, the fact that Porsche changed a few years back from the flat six naturally aspirated engine to the turbo four-cylinder that we've got in here has done nothing to affect the Boxster's performance. And that was before you added the GTS badge. In this new addition to the 718 range, you've got 269 kilowatts, 430 newton meters of torque. It's not a huge bump up on the S model, which is 200,000 rand cheaper, but I can tell you it's fantastic fun to drive.
The GTS models feature tinted lights front and rear, revised aprons, 20-inch wheels and a sprinkling of GTS logos to differentiate it from the outside. Inside you'll find a stopwatch to tell you that this model comes standard with the Sports Chrono package. You'll enjoy Porsche torque vectoring and active suspension management, and all the additions to the GTS mean you can reach 0 to 100 in just 4.1 seconds and head right on up to a top speed of 290 kilometers per hour.
Are really just that though, numbers. If you're a regular watcher of Ignition GT, in particular our shootout segment, then you'll know that when it comes to Porsches, it's not about facts, it's about feeling. It's about how they deliver that power. Smooth through the rev range, lift the throttle on your PDK gearbox, feed it into a corner and just feel that fantastic thrill.
It's the GTS model that puts paid to any lingering sniggers about the Boxster being a poser's car. It is every bit for the enthusiastic driver who will take his car to the track to wring its neck and look like a pro doing it. Whilst you need your stripes to handle a 911 GTS around the track, the Boxster will still hold your hand a little. It knows you're still on training wheels, and the fact that it's mid-engined as opposed to the 911's rear shove helps you feel a little less threatened while pretending you're Kimi or Lewis.
But what is that thing about a Porsche that I'm talking about? Surely you can feel like an F1 driver in any sporty German car. It's difficult to explain. It's kind of like the engineer
is in your pocket, and he is preempting every move you make with the steering wheel, with the throttle, with the gearbox, to the millisecond. There are millions of technical details to explain why a Porsche just feels so brilliantly engineered, so intuitive, but the best way to explain it is by the look on a person's face when they drive it. Woohoo!
As much fun as the Boxster GTS is on the track, it is also a fantastic daily driver. Drop the top and cruise the boulevards in style and comfort as you slink into your Alcantara sports seats. The thing is, the Boxster can drink beer and play golf with the boys while still looking like a knockout in a miniskirt. For 7 years after its launch, the Boxster was Porsche's biggest seller. It was a gift not only to aspirant Porsche owners who until then could only dream about owning one, but also to Porsche itself in terms of sales. Today, like Mary, suitors fall over themselves for that little something special that you can't quite put your finger on. Is the 718 Boxster GTS the best looking two-seater roadster? I like it, but that's subjective. Is it the most powerful? No, not by a long shot, actually. Is it the cheapest? Well, no, it doesn't score points there either. Do I still want to own one day? Hell yes! Because there's not just something about a Porsche, there's also something about a Boxster that makes you feel like, yes, you too can maybe one day get that girl. Maybe not the GTS model, but a Boxster nonetheless.